What's up guys, my name is Carl and it's been getting kind of hot out. It's summer now and a lot of you have been getting out of school recently. So with it being so nice outside, it's probably best that we get back to our regular routine of binge watching Netflix. Anyway, I've also recently gotten out of school and this year's been a little bit different for me. This year I tried an independent study course where basically I was given all my textbooks at the beginning of the year, I met with my teacher once a week, and other than that I was left to my own devices. Looking back on my choice to be an independent study, I decided there were kind of a lot of things that I learned in doing that and I wanted to share them with you guys. Alright, so first of all I learned to be self-motivated, which sounds kind of simple enough, but you don't really realize how much of a learning curve that is until you take all your teachers out of the equation. Because if you guys are like I am, and I'm sure at least one of you is, you tend to want to leave things to the last minute. Which is all fine and dandy, I guess, if you can get away with it. But in independent study, it's not really something you can do, because if you're given a week's worth of classwork to do each week, and you just decide to do it all on Sunday, you're kind of screwed. The upshot of that though is if you work super hard, you can get way ahead, like Ben did, who's going to be graduating his junior year of high school a year early. The second thing I learned to do in independent study was manage my time. When you don't have anyone holding you accountable to do your work at a certain time, you're just not going to do it. It's just kind of inevitable. Eventually you just kind of settle in your own little rhythm of doing anything but your work and you don't get anything done. So this year I've learned how to block out literally everything I do into a calendar. So that way I know when I'm doing English, when I'm going to walk somewhere, anything that I do. And I know that sounds kind of overkill and ridiculous, but if it's not in your calendar, what I've seen is it doesn't really get done. Now the next thing that I learned kind of sounds the same, but it's really not, and I'll explain in a minute. The third thing that I learned is to be productive. Now time management, be productive, kind of the same thing, but not really. Managing your time is blocking out how you use the 24 hours of the day that you're given. Being productive with your time, on the other hand, is learning how to take that time and maximize it. So for probably the first half of the first semester, I was kind of just like, I don't really know what I'm doing, don't really have much to do, Netflix. Which was great and everything, but then I kind of started feeling bad and just lazy after a while. And so I started creating some goals that I wanted to achieve, and that really helped my productivity. Now I decided to go what's probably a fairly typical route of teenagers, which is getting the car and getting a job. The point being I learned to be productive and make it happen. So now, instead of finishing the next season of my favorite TV show, while I can still do that in the evenings before bed or something, I'm making money and gaining life experience. And working at a supermarket in itself is a whole other video's worth of lessons I've learned. And that kind of worked out as a segue into the fourth thing that I've learned. Expanding my thinking through experiences. Now this one's kind of hard to put in words. I guess I'll just go with this example from my childhood. When I was little, I really hated cantaloupe, but I'd never tried it. And my parents kept telling me that I'd like it if I just tried it, but I hated it, so I couldn't have it, right? But then one day I decided to try this horrible food that I'd never actually tasted, and guess what? I loved it. In the same way, getting a job, learning to drive, etc., gives you different life experience and expands your horizons of thinking. Which leads me to the fifth thing that I've learned. You get out what you put into things. I wouldn't have learned any of the things I talked about in this video if I didn't put the effort into achieving them. There are plenty of other kids who do the same independent study program that me and Ben do. They get behind on their work and don't have a job and don't do anything productive and just kind of sit around and don't really learn anything new that benefits their lives in any way. And I mean, that's your decision, but in my opinion, I'd rather experience life than just watch it all go by on a TV screen. So thank you all so much for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to click the subscribe button right down there. My name is Carl, and I'll catch you all in the next one.